Thanks again for staying with Africa News Network First Fast Live. My name is Cindy Mabi and this is ANN7 Prime. Now, a day after Minister in the presidency, Jeff Radebe, was hit by a sexting scandal, first official reaction has come from a GCIS, and the State Communications Agency says that contrary to media reports, Siyasanga Mbambani has not been suspended from her post. The statement adds more mystery to the ongoing controversy. This says the union building staff member, Siyasanga Mbambani, had alleged that her suspension was a result of victimization by her bosses. Reports mention that she was suspended in March as an assistant director of media production at GCIS for insubordination. She allegedly released raunchy exchanges with Minister in the presidency, Jeff Radebe, to bolster the fact that she was suspended because she spurned sexual advances. Minister Jeff Radebe said to be quietly lobbying members to back him for the ANC leader's post. Let's take a look at the charges that may threaten his ambitions for higher office. Mbambani has alleged that Radebe sent her raunchy texts and emails. She says she was asked to send nude pictures of herself, and she claims that sexual harassment by the minister. Mbambani also admitted to sending nude pictures to Radebe.
It can be a political dive for him because Minister Radebe is one of the oldest serving ministers within the ANC and one of the oldest serving NEC members. And he's a man with a prudent reputation. The reality of the thing is that it has really dented the image of the minister in the presidency.
But despite the stinging allegations, there's been no official response from the minister or the ANC so far. The reaction in Jeff Radebe's case is in stark contrast to the outcry of a suspended Western Cape chairperson, Marius Fransman. Facing similar allegations, Fransman was suspended for 5 years by the Derek Honeycomb-headed disciplinary committee.
We try to speak to, former Tourism Minister Derek Honeycomb, who is also, remember, the chair of the ANC's disciplinary committee, and he specifically explained to us, stating over the phone, of course, I beg your pardon, of course, by saying that as a chairperson of the disciplinary committee, it's not their work to immediately call for a disciplinary hearing of the minister. However, he says that ANC NWC, if someone goes ahead with the complaint, the ANC NWC as well as the other stakeholders from the ANC, they sit together, they discuss this, then they bring this issue to the disciplinary committee. Only then they can start with an investigation. At this point of time, they said nothing has gone ahead.
And joining us live in studio is Botsang Muilwa, political analyst. We also hope to have Sfiso Mahlangu, resident political analyst, and Derek Honeycomb, ANC disciplinary chairperson. Good evening to you, Botsang. Congratulations, happy birthday, or belated birthday, all of these achievements that you have done over the past couple of days.
Thank you, Cindy. Good evening, and good evening to the ANN7 viewers.
Okay, is it going to get even nastier now that we've seen the sexting scandal that has been leveled against the minister in the presidency?
Well, definitely it's going to get nasty. It's 6 months to go to the national conference of the ruling party. Such matters and issues in maturing democracies, they tend to pop out. And I expect more and more media attacks, more and more nasty outcomes and scandals coming out towards the elective conference, especially on people who are running for the presidency of the ruling party, and especially for political leaders who generally never had scandals of such a nature. Minister Radebe is one of the highly ranked, most respected, the longest serving minister in post-democracy. So such things will come out. However, there's a number of questionable issues that come out. Somebody was asking me during the day and said, if it was you, what would you do? And I said, well, touch wood, I hope it's never me. But I think the way the minister has handled it so far, remember, it's a media report. This is what the Sunday Times have said. How many times has it happened that the media says something and after investigation, after a few days, then they come up and say, no, but that's not the truth. The truth is this. So this silence, I would say, and this personal view, it's golden for now. He can't keep quiet for long. Imagine if he would have said something during the course of the day, and then the official communique comes out of the GCIS to say, But no, we never suspended the lady in question. She's not under suspension. So it is not wise to always jump the gun, but the minister must come up in the next few days and put the public in confidence.
We have on the line as well Mr. Derek Hanekom, ANC Disciplinary Chairperson. Good evening to you, Mr. Hanekom. It's Cindy Mabi here. We have Botsang Muilwa in studio. Just in terms of a response, whether the silence is golden, while the ANC rather huddles to find a response to the stinging allegation with regards to Minister in the presidency. When can we anticipate or expect a word of where this is going to go?
Hi, Cindy, and yeah, thanks for having me. The only reason that I'm on your show really is to clarify procedures and not to explain anything that would pertain to the particular case, because I can't really comment on the merits of the case at all. And the procedure is, in fact, that the disciplinary committee does not make the decision as to whether to charge or not. Now, that is the decision taken by the 6 officials of the ANC, or the National Working Committee. They, obviously at this stage, there are newspaper reports. They have to do their necessary investigations, and they have to decide then whether this is a matter that requires disciplinary proceedings. They have power to initiate, according to our Constitution, to initiate disciplinary proceedings. Once they've investigated the case, they would then present the case to the disciplinary committee, and only if they come to the conclusion that this is a matter that requires disciplinary hearings, then they would pass it over to the disciplinary committee, which I chair, as you said, and then we would deal with the matter according to the set procedures in the Constitution.
All right. I understand that obviously internal structures and processes need to be followed to be fair, where especially regarding allegations are made that investigations need to be done. But is it fair then to say it's not applied equitably or the same in the sense of Marius Fransman, who was suspended after 5 years for similar allegations? Would you say that the processes in themselves tend to favor or there's preferential treatment for members?
No, there isn't preferential treatment for members, and there was nothing unfair with the way in which the Marius Fransman case was in the way it was dealt with. You will recall, and you would probably know, it's a matter of public knowledge, that he was charged only a considerable time after the event. So in other words, there were discussions, there were deliberations, and there was then the decision taken to initiate charges, and then the matter was referred to the disciplinary committee, which was not chaired by myself, by the way. I recused myself from that situation because I'm also the NEC convener in the Western Cape, and I felt I was a little bit too close to the situation, that it would be inappropriate for me to be chairing that committee. That committee, its integrity has to be beyond question, and the principles of fairness and impartiality have to be beyond question. So therefore, I recuse myself from that particular hearing. The case now in front of us, it really is up to people that I've just mentioned, the bodies that I've just mentioned, to do the investigation. They just read a newspaper report and say, let's go ahead and charge. They do the investigations. They then come to the conclusion whether it warrants a formal charge to be laid or not. Then they proceed with the formulation of a charge sheet, which takes a bit of time. So there's no unfairness. There's no differential treatment between the one case and the case. We don't know how this particular case is going to be handled. It's early days yet, and we cannot make judgment. We didn't make early judgment on the Fransman case. It was properly investigated. There were proper and fair hearings, and then finally a sanction was imposed.
All right. And Mr. Hanekom, just before we let you go, I mean, the ability to manipulate or influence the decision of the NEC, of the National Working Committee, from somebody who's been implicated or, there are allegations against them, how transparent is the process or the DC process in itself?
I really can't comment on that. We've got the President, the Deputy President, the Secretary General, the Deputy Secretary General, the Treasurer General, and the National Chairperson. And the 6 of them have the constitutional power to initiate a charge, to initiate disciplinary proceedings. It's up to them as a body or up to the NWC to ensure that they don't allow any undue pressure put on them to stifle charges if in the event that there's a legitimate charge. I'm not commenting on this particular case and the merits of this case. But neither can I, sort of align myself with a view that our six top officials will be unwilling to proceed with charges because of the influence of a particular individual.
All right. Thank you so much. That's Mr. Derek Hanekom, ANC Disciplinary Committee Chairperson. Butang Mwilwa joins us in studio. And, what do you make out of it? As you were saying that Minister Jeff Radebe and all his other portfolios had never had a scandal, but, he's largely under the radar. And now we hear this. What do you make of it?
Well, Cindy, it's part and parcel of politics. Definitely such media reports, they dent the image of a human being or of a person, especially in a high-profile office. But I must say, Mr. Hanekom has explained the procedure within the ruling party, what happens, and we don't have a disciplinary inquiry at the moment, which I think is correct. They must not jump the gun. But there's three elements which are involved. One, there's a labor issue. The allegation comes with an employee of the state within the presidency, if I may call it that way. So there's a labor matter. And the Labour Federation, like COSATU and others who are the part of the alliance, they're silent about this. Just issues them. Two, there's issues about women being abused in the country, countrywide and so forth. And some are being killed in the recent days. I'm not comparing this media allegation with that, but I at least expected the ANC Women's League to come out and say something in this regard. Three, there's an element of which has been addressed now by the employer. The employer stood up and said the person, and they have addressed one element, only the employment part is not under suspension. It's not true. But I also think it's very difficult, Cindy, for political leaders and parties to jump every time the media has breaking news with such, issues. So let's rather wait. Look, we've got different news this evening to say the person is not under suspension, or what is going to be countered after this. We cannot have a country which runs government through social media and print media reports. We should not undermine those things. We should not undermine the plight of women in this country. But we should also
I agree
not.
with you, yeah. But I mean, are there different yardsticks, you're saying, that are being applied here? If you think of the Zwelinzima case, with his subordinate rather, and the fallout from it, how he's literally fell from grace, that the media reports, unless thoroughly ventilated, investigated, you can't just ignore them because there'll always be that cloud of suspicion.
Exactly. And also, when I look through this before the evening report or the issuing of the statement, there's a lot of levels. Sexual harassment in a workplace is well covered within the labor laws of the country. The elements of what constitutes sexual harassment are very clearly stated, and they are well within the criminal law of the country. Now, a lot of questions that came to my mind earlier was, when did this, the date becomes very crucial as well. When did this raunchy text, what do you call it, sexting, happen? When did it happen? Last week? Did it happen 3 months back? Did it happen a year ago? Did it happen for a short period of time, or it happened for over a long time? We did not know yesterday, when the Sunday comes out with this story, that the citizen will come this morning and counter it and say, no, but it didn't end in the minister requesting something extraordinary, which I can't say on television, but it also has an element of her sending explicit, seductive pictures to the minister before the last text, and nothing was said about those processes. Now, it will be proper to investigate the whole process. When did they start? Was there a relationship between the two adults? Was it actually an abusive in a form of subordinate and boss, process? That's when I'm talking about the abuse. Did the minister abuse his powers towards a junior person within a work environment?
You're saying that the timing is very questionable because we're leading up to the elective conference.
No, not only for that. When your employment rights, your personal rights as a person are being violated, how long do you have to sit to talk about or to release this issue at work? The information we are having at the moment is the lady released these texting messages and so forth because When she refused the advances, she was harassed at work, and then she was suspended. But the GCIS has come back and said, no, she's not under suspension. So that part falls out. So it could be very close towards election year and so forth. That forces may be involved. I'm not ruling them out. But there is definitely something to answer to. The minister has to respond. Fortunately, we have heard now that he will release an official response to this matter tomorrow to clear up this situation. But it must be a very difficult time for him. And also for the lady, I'm sitting in, I'm thinking of this lady who's in the Sunday Times first page or breaking news against one of the most powerful ministers in the country. She's young as well, at the age of 29, assistant director, her career is starting. It must be very difficult for both of them. It does take us back to the Vavi issue. But that one was much more easier than this because there was a relationship between the two.
Yeah, and then there was extortion. So
and there was
level of
and all those things.
Yeah.
So it's a wait-and-see situation. Like I said at the beginning, let's expect more of such to come out. Let's expect more of such scandals to come out. That's unfortunately how democracy works. You must give both parties a chance to come and state their case. You must bring the facts to the table. And when people go and contest for positions, they tend to play dirty. Whether it's going to be scandals of sex or money, doing favors for families, these things are going to pop out between now and December. So the country must actually brace themselves for that.
Interesting times indeed. Botsang Moelo, political analyst, thanks so much for joining us. Derek Hanekom is the chairperson of the ANC Disciplinary Committee. Thanks for staying with us at home. We move on to other stories now. The ANC